You know, people talk about bravery like it is something loud, something bright, something everyone can see. But real bravery is quiet. It happens in the dark. It happens when no one is watching. It happens the moment you admit a truth you have been running from your whole life. Most people are not afraid of failure. Most people are not afraid of pain. Most people are not even afraid of being alone. The real fear, the one that lives deep inside the bones, is the fear of becoming who you truly are. Because the person you truly are, the one behind the mask, the one behind the smile, the one behind the I am fine, is dangerous. Dangerous because they are honest. Dangerous because they are powerful. Dangerous because they cannot be controlled by expectations anymore. People spend their whole lives hiding from that version of themselves. They bury their voice under the opinions of others. They bury their dreams under the weight of fear. They bury their truth under the pressure to fit in. They bury their identity under the need to be accepted. And then they wonder why they feel empty, why they feel restless, why they feel like something is missing even when nothing is wrong, why their heart feels heavy even when life looks successful. It is simple. Because the moment you hide the real you, you lose the only thing that could have ever made you feel alive. People look at their reflection every day, but very few ever see themselves. You see your face. You see your eyes. You see your expression. But what you do not see is the truth behind those eyes. The sadness, the dreams, the longings, the anger, the hunger, the fire, the person you locked away because the world told you they were too much. But listen, the part of you are afraid of is the part of you that will save you. The world teaches you to be careful, be polite, be predictable, be safe. Do not disturb anyone. Do not chase anything too big. Do not break the rules. Do not step out of the line. Do not be loud. Do not be different. But your soul was not built for silence. It was not built for cages. It was not built for a life that looks perfect on the outside but feels dead on the inside. There is a voice within you that whispers, "You are meant for more." But every time that voice gets louder, fear gets louder too. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if you lose everything? What if you are not good enough? What if you are dreaming too big? What if you are not meant to rise? Fear creates questions. But your truth, your real self, creates answers. The truth says, you will fail sometimes. You will be judged. You will get hurt. You will have to let go of things. You will have to grow beyond your comfort. But you will become someone you never imagined. People think the journey of becoming yourself is beautiful. They think it is peaceful. They think it is inspiring. No. It is brutal. It is uncomfortable. It is lonely. It is confusing. It is terrifying. You have to kill parts of yourself. Parts that were never really yours. Parts that the world placed on you. Parts that were built from fear, not truth. You have to walk away from people. Not because you hate them, but because they cannot walk with you into the next version of your life. You have to break your own patterns. Not because they are bad, but because they are small. You have to disappoint everyone who built an identity for you. Not because you are selfish, but because you are finally choosing to breathe. Becoming yourself means losing the life that was never meant for you. And that loss feels like death. But what comes after feels like rebirth. You stop pretending. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. You stop killing your own potential just to fit the mold. You begin to speak with your real voice. You begin to walk with your real confidence. You begin to think with your real mind. You begin to live with your real heart. You feel pain more deeply. But you feel joy more deeply too. You lose people who never saw you. But you find people who finally can. You let go of the old life. But you create a new one that feels honest, and alive, and yours. And that is when the fear changes. It stops being fear of becoming yourself, and becomes fear of ever going back. Going back to pretending. Going back to suffocating. Going back to living small. Going back to hiding your fire. Going back to being who the world wants. Going back to being a shadow of the person you were meant to be. You will not go back. Because once you taste your own truth, once you feel the weight of your real identity, once you meet the version of you that was buried for years, you will realize something powerful. You were never afraid of becoming yourself. You were afraid of losing the approval of people who never truly knew you. And that fear, it dies the moment you decide to live for yourself. So listen, do not run from who you are. Do not hide from your truth. Do not bury the voice inside you. Do not silence the fire in your chest. Do not apologize for wanting more. Do not shrink for anyone. Become the person you were always meant to be. Even if it terrifies you. Especially if it terrifies you. Because the most beautiful version of you, the strongest version of you, the most unstoppable version of you, is waiting on the other side of that fear. And once you become that person, nothing, not judgment, not failure, not loneliness, not fear, can ever break you again. But becoming yourself comes with the price people rarely talk about. See, the moment you choose authenticity, you start losing the version of your life that was built on imitation. You start losing people who only loved the mask. You start losing habits that kept you numb. You start losing the routines that made you feel safe. You start losing the identity you spent years performing. And it feels strange, because you are gaining something powerful, yet losing things that once felt like home. But remember this, sometimes the things that feel like home are the same things that keep you from growing wings. Every transformation begins with disorientation. When you have one foot in who you were, and one foot in who you are becoming, it feels like standing in the doorway of your own life. Behind you is everything familiar, in front of you is everything possible, and inside you is a war between the two. And that war is sacred. It is proof that you are evolving. It is proof that you are waking up. It is proof that your soul is fighting for its freedom. But here is the part most people never prepare for: the world does not like people who choose themselves. Because when you choose yourself, you show everyone else that they could choose themselves too. And that threatens them. People will call you selfish, because you stopped living for their expectations. People will call you arrogant, because you finally believe in your worth. People will call you crazy, because you refuse to follow the script. People will call you distant, because you no longer bend just to be accepted. People will call you changed, because they can no longer control you. But every great transformation begins with misinterpretation. People misunderstand you right before they wish they had your courage. Because deep inside, everyone wants to be real. Everyone wants to be free. Everyone wants to drop the act. Everyone wants to breathe without fear. But not everyone is willing to lose the approval that keeps them chained. You were. You are. That is your power. But with that power comes solitude. Not loneliness. Solitude. Solitude is different. Loneliness is the absence of others. Solitude is the presence of yourself. Solitude is where you learn what your heart actually wants. Solitude is where you learn what your mind actually believes. Solitude is where you learn how strong you actually are. Solitude is where you learn who you were always meant to be. Most people avoid solitude because they are terrified of meeting the person underneath the noise. But you walked into it. You faced yourself. You didn't look away. You didn't run. And that is when the real shift begins. The moment you realize that you do not need anything outside you to feel complete inside you, you start trusting your instincts. You start choosing your peace. You start valuing your time. You start speaking your truth without shaking. You start protecting your energy like your life depends on it. You start walking away from anything that insults your soul. You stop chasing people. You stop explaining your worth. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop begging to be understood. You stop waiting for permission that was never needed. You become your own source of clarity. Your own source of strength. Your own source of purpose. Your own source of identity. And once a person learns to stand alone, they become impossible to break. Because no one can take away what you built inside yourself. No one can steal your truth. No one can cage your fire. No one can shrink your spirit. No one can silence a voice that has finally learned to speak. You rise from within. You transform from within. You rebuild from within. You evolve from within. And the world will feel that. People will sense it. Not because you are louder, but because you are clearer. You do not walk with arrogance. You walk with certainty. You do not speak with force. You speak with conviction. You do not seek attention. You attract respect. You become a storm with a calm center. A fire with direction. A force with purpose. And suddenly, the fear that once controlled you becomes the fuel that empowers you. The doubt that once drowned you becomes the wind that lifts you. The wounds that once haunted you become the wisdom that guides you. The shadows that once scared you become the space where you build your strength. You do not return to who you were. You cannot. Because once you meet the real you, the one beneath the layers, the one beneath the expectations, the one beneath the fear, you realize something undeniable: you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to break out. You were never meant to survive quietly. You were meant to live loudly. In your own way. On your own terms. In your own truth. And that truth, once awakened, never sleeps again.